In this video, we're going to look at a third way that we can use reference images or image planes inside of ZBrush. Now, this particular method requires a little bit of setup before we actually get into ZBrush, and happens to work best if we have more than one image. So if you happen to have a front view and a side view of your character, and if you have other images, side view, back view, top view, three-quarter view, whatever, if you have more than one image of your model that you want to model, this next way of using image planes is probably the best way. So the first thing that we need to do is sort of separate our images. So I've gone ahead and I've got a front view and a separate side view right here that we're going to use. All right. And what we need to do is go into Photoshop and create a document here. So I've created a document that is 1024 high by 2048 wide. All right, so it's twice as wide as it is high. I use 1024 by 2048. It's a very easy number to sort of remember. All right, so it's 1K high by 2K wide. All right. So first thing that I'm going to do though is come up here to View, and we're going to go to Rulers, and I want to find the halfway point on this blank canvas here. So I'm going to using the rulers. If I just click on the ruler here and drag, you can see I get this line, and I'm going to drag it out here, and it will snap. You can feel it snap right at the halfway mark right there. So I know that that is the halfway mark for these two images. All right. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and drag in my side view. So let me go ahead and, or sorry, my front view. So I'll grab that and bring that in right here. Okay. And we'll drag them over. I'm going to make sure I hold Shift as I grab the corner here. If you don't hold Shift, your image will be skewed. All right. So let me undo that. If you hold Shift while you grab that corner, it's going to stay constrained. So I can make this a little bit bigger, and let's move it over here and something like that. All right. So I'm just going to make sure he fits in there, something like that, and we'll hit Edit. Okay. And what I like to do at this point is go ahead and grab some more rulers to help me line up the side image. So I'm going to grab a ruler at the top here and put it at the top of his head. And I'll grab another ruler here maybe and put it at the bottom of his tunic. And let's grab another one and put right at his heels right there. All right. So we've got some lines to help us line up the next image. All right. What I should also do here is find the center of this 1024 area right here. So what I like to use is these numbers across the top. So as I grab a ruler here on the left and drag it, you can see as I hit the edge, that's at 0. And as we come over here, we can see we're at 14 and a little bit. So halfway is about 7 and a tiny bit right about here, something like that. Okay. And let me hit Command T. All right, and this will allow me to move my image again. So again, holding Shift, I'm going to grab the corner, make that a little bit smaller, and I want to line up the center line here down the center of the character. All right, so something like right about there. I'm using my arrow keys to nudge it. I can use my arrow keys to nudge this. I'm just going to nudge it right there so that the center line is down his nose and down the center of his belt buckle. All right, and then again, I'm going to make sure I hit Enter, so that's locked in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my side view. So I'm just going to click and drag that over here. All right. Again, I can move this over. I'm going to hold Shift and grab the corner, make this a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to work to line up the top of the head, the tunic, and the feet here. All right. And let's see. We still have a ways to go on this. So that looks like about right about there. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter, but I also want to make sure I find the center line right here. So we're at 14. This ends at about just after 28. So we're looking at about 21 and change right about there. That's about the halfway point. Again, if I hit Command T, all right, this will, and use my arrow keys, I can nudge this back so that this is centered. So I'm putting the center line here sort of down his spine, all right, something like that. All right, and hit enter, and there we go. So now we've got our two images lined up. Oops, actually we don't, do we? This guy here. So actually I need to, because I moved him, let's go ahead and grab this and put that's his now the top of his head. Or actually, let's come over here again and try, let me click on this. So it takes a little while to get these lined up. Again, Command T. All right. And I will grab here and hold Shift. And we'll make that bigger. There we go. All right, let's move this over. And we'll make this a little bit smaller so it fits. Okay. So what I'm worried about is this hand and this center line here. So I want to make this a little bit smaller, and I also want to make sure he's lining up in the center. So again, I'm going to move this over. There we go. Again, I'm using my arrow keys just to nudge him, making sure that that hand is not touching the edge. Okay. And let's go ahead. All right. So some of these ruler lines I've put in, I'm going to have to change here. All right, let me hit enter. And I'll go ahead now again, drop one down for the top of his head, drop one down for his tunic right there, and we've got one right here for his heels. All right, let's take this image over here, Command T. Oops, there we go. Okay, holding Shift, make sure we bring this down here. And there we go. That looks like that's lining up. That head, the tunic, and the heel are lining up. All right, we'll hit enter. And there we go. So we've got our images lining up. Now I need to export these out separately. So I'm going to come up to Image, go to Canvas Size. All right. I want my canvas size. I'm going to change it from inches to pixels, and I'm going to make this 1024. Okay. And then on this little diagram right here, I'm going to click on this arrow so that it isolates just this image on the left, right there, and hit OK. All right. You'll get this warning about the canvas size. Just go ahead and say proceed. And there you go. So there you go. We've got our image lined up in the center. All right. And I'm going to come up to Edit and, File, Export As. Okay. And we're going to export this as a JPEG. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit Export All. Make sure I got everything. Yep, that's right. Okay, we'll export all, and we'll just go ahead and we'll put this on our desktop. We'll call this Stew Front on our desktop right there. Let's just call this 01. All right, export. All right. Now once that's done, I like to come up here to Edit and do Step Backward. And that'll give us this again. Come back up to Image, Canvas Size. We do the exact same thing. Change this to pixels. Make this 1024. This time we click on the right side. Click OK. Proceed. Now we've got this image here. Again, we come up to File, Export As. Make sure that we choose JPEG. All right. And we'll go ahead and export all. We'll call this Stew Side 01 JPEG. Save it to our desktop and export. We can come back up here and go to Step Backwards and save this entire thing. File. All right. Save as. And we can call this Stew Lineup. All right, and we'll put that on our desktop here as well, and we'll save that. Okay, there we go. So now let's go ahead and hop back into ZBrush right here. Now, to use the grids, we need to bring in a piece of geometry. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a sphere. All right. Same thing. I'm going to go ahead and hit Edit, make it a Polymesh 3D, change my material, and turn it into a Dynamesh. Again, Dynamesh, the 128 resolution, I find to be a little bit heavy to start with, so I like to take that down to say 32 and hit Enter, and then go ahead and hit Dynamesh. All right, so this gives us a nice low poly sphere without any poles to worry about. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and double click on my divider, and I'm going to open up my, where is it here, the Draw tab. So I'm going to drag this over. Oops. There we go. All right. And for us to use the grid system here, we need to turn on the floor. And we need to make sure that we turn on X, Y, and Z. All right. You can see that gives us these right here. These grids. All right. So again, making sure the blue line is pointing forward. And from our draw menu, from our draw palette right here, if we scroll down, you'll see that we've got right here, you can see we've got the floor. All right. There's the front, back, up, down, and left, right. So let's go ahead and with the front, back, we're going to open this up. And right here where it says map 1, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I will import my image. So let's click on this. Go to my desktop, and I will find my Stu Front 01 JPEG right there, and we'll open that up. And there you go. So you can see already this is what we get. All right. So we're sort of creating a box here, all right, with image planes in it. I can scroll this around and hit Shift to snap it. So let's go ahead now and create an image for our side view. So again, coming over to the Draw menu right here, if I scroll down, I'm going to go to the left and right tab right here, left and right. Click on Map 1, click on Import, and I'm going to find my Stu Side 01. We'll open that up. There we go. All right. Now my Stu image right here is facing the wrong way. So I'm going to go ahead here and flip it. There we go. Okay, so now our image is flipped. So now we can look at it both ways this way, front and side. All right. Now if we had a top view, right, we could do up, down, and do the exact same thing. And even if we had a back view, you can see that as we rotate around here, I do see through that image right there. But if we happen to have had a back view, I could attach that to map 2, and it would go on the very back of this image right here. All right. So this is what we have. We have now a grid system where if I come over here now to, let's go ahead and open up left, right. Okay. And you can see that P line is turned on. 1 is turned on as well. We can come in here and we can change the offsets if we need to move this a little bit. This vertical offset up and down. Okay. Let's just put that back to 0. Oops, right here. All right. And we can also move this front to back if we need to as well. All right. Now in here, again, right above this, up here, you'll see the fill mode. All right. And we can move this, and this will give us, we'll turn on front first, and that'll allow us to see through our geometry. And we also have that blue line. So if you look at that blue line, let me come over here and come to the left, right. P line is turned on, front, back, P line is turned on. So that line that you see shooting off there, that is your P line right here, your project line. All right, and you can see how that sort of follows the model right there. So I can kind of help with this geometry, all right, to sort of follow that shape with that P line. Right? If that P line is in your way, you can turn that off right there. Okay. So we can go ahead and change the fill mode here. All right, and this will turn it off. 1 is semi-transparent. 2 is even more transparent. And 3, there you go, something like that. All right, so that'll make the background very opaque and the sphere quite transparent. Okay, so that's a sort of a personal preference on how you like to use that. You can also come over here and we can save this, all right, and we can save this as a Z grid, all right. In fact, you can come into your applications folder and go into ZBrush 4R8 and I believe, where is it here? Right here, Z grids. So you can save it right inside here. All right, so let's cancel that out. So now all you would have to do is come in here again now and say using your move brush and play with your fill mode, all right, to kind of, and again, make sure that your symmetry, of course, is turned on. So let's double check up in transform. We'll hit X, make sure our symmetry is turned on, and then we can come in here and start shaping our sphere. Now you can see what I mean by those P lines right there. They can sometimes get in the way. So you can turn that off. And let's go to the left, right, and we can turn that off for now as well. All right, and if you want to just turn off the entire grid system, you can just turn off the floor, and that'll turn it off. And then you can come in here and start using your move brush, all right, smoothing things out. And you can see that even at a 32 resolution on this Dynamesh, even that might be a little bit high for the initial shaping. So if I turn the floor back on, you can see I can start to shape this geometry. All right, let's pull this up here, move this over. All right. So we have the front and back that we can work with here. All right, let's pull this in and pull this up a little bit and smooth this. All right. And don't forget, it is a good idea to turn that off and just continue to sculpt and just go back and refer to that as needed. Okay, so we'll just get this torso kind of working. Okay, and we'll turn this back on right here. Here we go. All right. Now, one thing about the P line, let's go ahead and take a look at that one more time. We'll go to the front view and turn that on. And you can see if I turn this a little bit, you can see how I can start to follow that P line to follow his shape right here. All right, we'll go into the side view and do the same thing. And this only works if you kind of turn a little bit 3/4. So as I scroll along, let me go into the left, right, turn on the P line, and there you go. And you can see that that red line will follow the shape of his belly, right? Or it's actually following the geometry. So if I pull this out, you can see as it's following the geometry, I can see that that belly's too big. So as I pull that in, right about there, there's where his belly is, all right? So I can use those P lines to help me get that shape just right. Okay. All right. So that's grids right there. I should point out, let me go ahead and hit comma to open up my Lightbox, and we'll go into grids. And ZBrush does come loaded with a few grids already. One of the more popular ones that's used quite a bit is this one right here to help if you wanted to model a head. And let me see if this one has it. No, it doesn't have it. Let's see. All right, so there's that one there. Let's hit comma right here. Let's look at another one. I want to see if any of these have a. Oh, here's a good one right here. Okay, so let's turn this around, and you can see how this one here does have a back, right? So if we look at the front back here, there are two images, a front image and a back image. And as we rotate around here, you can see there's the front image. All right, and as we rotate around there, we can see the side image, and as we keep going, there's the back image showing. Okay, so we can load up, and I believe there's even a top view here as well. So we can line all of these up and work with our geometry to try and match those shapes. Okay, so grid system is an excellent way to to, to model, but it only really works if you have multiple images. All right, so you can see how I can align that up quite nicely. All right, and come over here, holding Shift. There you go. All right, and start to pull this out to match that shape. All right. So this is the grid system here. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. Again, remember you can save it and save it into that light box right here. You can see I do have a Stu grid already created. All right, we'll push that back. There we go. All right, so that's it for those using reference images. There is one other way that we can use reference images that I'm going to show you. It's the least reliable way, but we'll go over that in the next video.